Hello everyone and welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan, and if you haven't already guessed, we're once again in front of the 135-gallon display tank out here in my dining room, kitty corner from the fish room. And I'm going to talk about a specific aspect of this tank, but I can't help but just let the camera romance over all these glorious and happy vigorous fish. I'm so pleased. I mean, look at these 3 millennium rainbows. Look at that red. It's as red as the koi angel. Speaking of which, look at that orange. Oh my God. I mean, this is the kind of koi you might find at a regular store. Well, this is one I got at the Swaps, which incidentally, there's one this Sunday in Northbrook. And I bet the breeder who sold me that will be there. But in any event, you know, regular angelfish. This was always going to be an angelfish tank. I had some mishaps early on. I've talked about it a lot. I went too fast. I was impatient. The addictive heart wants what it wants and becomes reckless to get it. And I paid the price, and so did some lovely creatures. I just didn't have the right water yet, or a suitable, stable environment for them. But that no more gloom and doom, because I've locked in with some easier to care for angels like the koi and the classic stripes, and a black here. It might have some pinoy in it. So, you know, all angelfish, if you really look at them, they're all beautiful, and they tend to have a little exotic blood in them as well. Very few purebred angelfish, in my opinion. So what's the topic? I'm loving the ramble as I look at what I see, what you see in real time. Those cardinal tetras, half the school here and half the school there. How cool is that? Adds so much symmetry to the tank. The stripped, beautiful driftwood. I say stripped because the plecos just did a number on all the algae, and they continue to keep it really clean and free from that. So plecostomus, and I've got they come out at feeding despite these predatory fish like this ram cichlid and the angelfish and the rainbows, you know, despite fairly aggressive, if you know, in terms of feeding. I've got 30 bodacious amano shrimp and coolie loaches and things like that, and they're all up and in the nooks and crannies doing their job in there to keep harmful debris from collecting and stagnating. And when I throw in a few wafers or some food, the ground gets just like a whole new aquarium. Just all these creatures come out, and right now it's clean, right? And it's just funny how your tank will have multiple workforces, like the day crew, the night crew, the maintenance team. I mean, just part of the fun of this hobby. So 4 minutes in, what's the topic? I want to talk about this crypticorn Wendetti. I think that's what the actual is. It's definitely a crypt. This is inert sand right there. I might have put a couple fertilizer tabs in there when I first set up the tank 6 months ago or 7 months ago, but sand and gravel and not much of it up front. It took a while, but once crypts get past all the stuff they're known for, potential melting, the laggy, saggy, super slow growth, leaves just sort of getting holes and falling off. Once you get past that stage, you can get what I'm calling like this crypt forest, this excellent almost ground cover, even though it's 6-7 inches high, if more, and it keeps moving across despite the inert nature of the substrate there. And what I love about that, because I was super worried about how am I going to clean the size and scope of this sand and gravel. I mean, I don't like doing gravel vac. I never do any of that. I do everything else but vacuum gravel. And so in this tank where I use sand and gravel, I was thinking I'm gonna have to figure that shit out. But lo and behold, if I can get activity like this, and here's a little bit smaller version of it going on here, if I can get plant cover, healthy plant cover, across a bigger and bigger portion of this substrate, I won't have to do it because the plants will just feed on the mulch and detritus and what have you that accumulate and settle down there. And creatures like this pleco, and I've got some Adolphe corridora in here. Lovely little fish, slow growing. I got 20 of these. There he is. See, they have the orange saddle. There's his little saddle. Still just 1.25 inches long. So they're happy, but they just don't grow fast. Anyway, they kick around the particles that they don't eat, dead plant pieces, things like that. And they keep stirring it around up into the water column, which can get drawn into the back overflow and into the sump. But no matter what, you're still gonna get debris. And if you have enough plants, and especially the kind that aren't a true carpeting plant, you can sort of have your cake and eat it too. You get a beautiful aquarium plant that isn't as hard to deal with as say dwarf hairgrass or Monte Carlo. Imagine me trying to maintain a carpet in a tank this big. A slow growing, steady, healthy forest of cryptocorn, I'm arguing for a big tank like this, is way better solution than trying to do a carpeting plant. So Crypts used to be my favorite plant when I was in California for whatever reason, and now I'm reminded of that reason. I mean, here's some like sage and all that stuff in the inert substrate, not doing nearly as well, and that's supposedly an easier plant. So go figure. This plant loves it in here, and I'm delighted about that fact. I mean, Busa philandra, is a more expensive exotic plant, and it has its place. Obviously, the what do you call it? The swords, Amazon swords, and Anubias and Java fern, all that's up and in the island here, and that's great. And it's finally sort of coming into its own. Everything struggled at first in this aquarium. And yet here the cryptocorn, what I thought would be the hardest, is now one of my heroes. So, I know this was a tangential, sort of rambly look at this tank, but I'm only a hobbyist. I hope there was something useful or helpful. And again, thanks for your support, and always keep your hands in your tanks. Ciao for now.